Good day, everyone. My name is Hayden Jamal of HaydenJamal.com, motif legend, back with another video. And today I am going to kickstart a brand new series of videos in which I talk about my mistakes in my 2-year home recording career. I basically want to give you guys all of the mistakes that I've made and all the lessons that I've learned from them so that you won't make them. And by far, my biggest mistake that I made, especially at the start, was not understanding gain staging and volume and such. Let's talk about it. So for my rappers and singers and songwriters, let me explain gain versus volume. Gain for you guys is how sensitive a microphone will be to whatever you're giving it, and volume is how loud or how low something will be coming out of your speakers or your headphones. There is a complete difference. So for all of you guys who are recording yourselves, singers and rappers and songwriters and such, gain staging is basically making sure that when you record into your DAW or your digital audio workstation, that you're not recording too hot. Too hot meaning too loud. Hey guys, so I'm going to explain to you what gain staging is with my interface. I'm using a PreSonus Studio One 192. It's an awesome interface if you want to go ahead and pick it up. But basically, every one of your interfaces is going to be different in terms of its layout, but the concept will remain the same. You're going to have, a gain knob, and you're going to have, a number. So, for this one right here, we're on pre number 1, which is going to represent this guy here, number 1. And we have the number 16. Now, the 16 is a number that represents how sensitive the microphone will be, or how sensitive whatever I put number 1, the input is. So this being number 1 means that I'm going to have an input or a leveling of 16. Now, what does that mean exactly? Well, what that means is that on here, you probably can't see it, it says number 1, 1 through 8. You'll see that, this is blue here. It's blue right there. And this meter represents this right here. So this meter represents the 16, or the sensitivity of, input number 1. So as I'm talking, my microphone is hooked up now. There's no actual movement, but let's turn it up. So if we turned it up to, 30, and the maximum is 60, you'll notice that now I'm getting signal, because I have raised the sensitivity of the mic. The microphone is actually on the other side of the room. So that tells you something. Then we're going to raise it to 50. Now, I see a lot of new artists recording something like this. This is not good. You do not want to record here. This is entirely too sensitive. I'm not even on the microphone right now, and I'm going halfway up. The goal really is to be halfway up, when you're, at a lower gain. And then obviously when I turn it all the way up, this is just way too hot. I'm just speaking in a normal tone, and it's going all the way to the top, and the microphone's on the other side of the room. So what you're trying to understand is that you do not want this to be high at all. If you are on a number system, you should be definitely below the half. So if you go up to 100, you definitely need to be below 50. I would say you probably need to be at 25. That's just my opinion. That's just a sweet spot. About a quarter of the number. A quarter of the number should be able, to do you just fine. I'm at 60, but 16 is usually the sweet spot. Sometimes I'll do 15, sometimes I'll do 14 or 17, depending on the record. If I'm doing something where I'm quiet, I might do 17 or 18. But that's usually the sweet spot. Now that I've explained the staging from this standpoint, let me help you understand on the actual computer, the digital audio interface. So basically, all of your recordings is going to have something that looks like this in your digital audio workstation. This represents, this exact wave right here, this one. So everything that plays, it's going to be showing exactly how loud it is. This is the gain sensitivity and how much you've been, how loud you've been recording into your actual microphone. So what I'm going to do, well, basically the entire idea behind this is so that when you are recording, your peaks or your metering is right around this area. This is just my opinion. This seems to be a good sweet spot for me. If you probably can't see the numbers, but that would leave you around, -10, -6, -8 or something like that. That gives the engineer enough to work with where they can go up a few decibels, 6 or 7 decibels to get up to that point right there, that 0. And that's really, at the end product, that's really where you kind of want your music to sound, in this area. But if you record too loud, if you're recording and you're getting up in here already, then that engineer can't really do anything with the actual song. They can't really mix it right. So you want to record and make sure that your vocals and such are peaking around this area. So let me play this vocal and give you an understanding of what I mean. So it's playing now.
Can't see me, painting the pictures they can't see. By default, can only be what he can't be. My bio, shocking, let me be the first person to shoot. I'm a far cry from fear, my mindset isn't you.
So you notice how playing through my speaker, right? It's not loud. It's not supposed to be, and that's okay. The point is to make sure that when I'm recording, that I'm getting this, I'm getting it around this area. Now, of course, there's going to be certain parts of the record that it's going to hit the top, and that's okay. The point is the average. You want this to average out around this area. That's the point, So let's play it again.
Can't see me, painting the pictures they can't see. By default, can only be what he can't be. My bio, shocking, let me be the first person to shoot. I'm a far cry from fear, my mindset isn't you.
So that's the point, right? Now, what happens is when you send this off to mix, now the engineer or whomever, or when you're mixing, they're gonna have a bunch more headroom there. So my biggest mistake when I first started recording is I wanted everything to be loud, right? And so I would record and I would get up into these levels, and then I would send off my stuff for mixing, and it just wouldn't come out right. It wouldn't sound right. Of course, the engineers did what they could, but and no one really bothered to educate me on this, which was a pain in the butt to me. But that was my biggest mistake, recording too loudly. So I don't know if I've broke it down good enough, but just remember this: on your digital audio workstation, you want to be having your vocals in this area. This is just my opinion. It can be lower. Sometimes I've gotten to this green part, just the top of that green part. But I think just a bit above it is really good. Definitely not the red. So on the lower half of the yellow. And then also on your actual audio interface, you want to be a quarter of the way up, in my opinion. Now, what I meant about volume is that, you can make it as loud as you want in terms of the actual recording. So you can make it as loud as you want in terms of the actual recording. Let me demonstrate. So we're playing, right?
Can't see me.
You want to make it louder? You can.
By default, can only be what he can't be. My bio, shocking, let me be the first person to shoot.
Now, you have a volume control here on, inside of the actual DAW, the digital audio workstation. But we also have one on the actual audio interface too. So let's play this.
Can't see me, painting the pictures they can't see. By default, can only be what he can't be. My bio, shocking, let me be the first person to shoot.
You see, you see what I'm saying? So it's like, even though I recorded things, low, I still can get it to sound very loud because there's a lot of power that's coming through in this, in the audio interface, and through the actual digital audio workstation. You can get a lot more volume out of it. So there's really no point in recording it loud. So in my opinion, just recording it in that part. Now notice when I raise the volumes up here, this does nothing at all. This does nothing at all for the actual metering. That's the point.
So that's my time, guys. I'm not an audio engineer, but I hope you learned something. I did my best to explain what I was talking about. Please leave me a comment down below if you think that you learned something. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. My name is Hayden Jamal of HaydenJamal.com of Motif Legend. Remember, I'm a rapper and a songwriter and such. Please follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. The links are in the description below. Remember to be the dream, stop dreaming, and subscribe.
No one thing, never apologize for how I feel. That's like saying sorry, you're feeling remorse for being ripped. When I make it, it exposes fakeness in their actions. I pay just as much attention to the people not clapping.